out today from the Washington Post. Could non-citizens decide the November election? I'm going to, not say I told you so, because I'm going to be a very nice person today. Do I get points for that? Yeah. The fact that the Washington Post picked up the story is the punchline, by the way, folks, because we've known about this for a little while. In fact, I was talking about it not too long ago, and I have to remember where. But yeah, North Carolina, they are wondering whether or not they have non-citizen voters. 0.65% of Minnesota non-citizens could account for a margin granting Al Franken his victory. No kidding. Remember how people were saying they're flooding the borders to go and make it possible for Democrats to stay in power? Guess what, folks? You were right. That's why they're doing it. Why do they not want voter ID? Oh, no, it isn't because they want to make sure that anybody who really wants to vote gets a chance. No. No. They're victimizing minorities and sitting there saying that minorities are incapable of reading and writing and arithmetic, and they cannot manage to figure out how to get a voter ID because they can't write their name, they don't know their address, they don't know their date of birth, they have zero proof of where they were born because they just popped out of the sky. You get where I'm going? Yeah. Seriously, I want to know. I want, because I'm not going to have any delusions of grandeur here. I know that there are no liberals that are crazy enough to listen to this show. But I do know that there are some conservatives that listen that may or may not know some liberals that are actually speaking to them and, well, yeah. I want to know, really, what in the world goes through these people's heads? Why do you keep doing it? I mean, I watched it when I was in the wonderful world of nonprofits. I watched the community organizers, like our president, sit there and tell community leaders, the politicians, we want money. We don't want you to come in and help build businesses in our community. We don't want that. No, we want you to sign a check, or better yet, give us cash. And we sure as hell don't want you telling us what to do with it. I'm not joking. Welcome to the city of Pittsburgh. And I guarantee that, I have examples of the same kind of behavior all across this country. Black community leaders sitting there and saying, we want what we want from you, to the community leaders. But we don't want you telling us what to do with it. Think Ferguson, folks. Because that's the next shoe to drop. Uh-huh. And what do you think they do with that money? Do you think that they're going to go and build a real community? Well, when I was in the wonderful world of nonprofits, they were telling me that, well, we'll have to discuss with you whether or not we really want you to go and have the nice little real estate mogul take over those awful brownstones that are in horrible condition and put a computer lab in there so that you could go and teach people, basic English skills. And we'll have to figure out whether or not we really want you to go and have the young business leadership organizations that already exist in our city come in here and teach our community members how to do resumes and job applications. And we're really uncertain about whether or not we want you to go and talk to the department stores and the Salvation Army about, and various corporations in the area, about getting our people business suits to go and wear on job interviews. Because we're really not sure. Reed, we don't give a good goddamn if we get our people jobs. We want the freaking money. And we sure as hell don't want your white ass in our neighborhood telling us that we need to go and reach out to the community and make sure that the people in our community can read and write and fill out a job application. Because, you know, we have the government to pay for this shit. No kidding. So where'd my money go? Oh, I don't know. Probably went to a bunch of books from a company called Scholastic. And where'd they go? To the juvenile detention center, in the hope that instead of getting the attitude and bullshit that I got from their community leaders, that maybe those kids would learn to read before they got out of there and ended up in the penitentiary, because, you know, they got to go talk to those community organizers and be smart-ass little bastards while they sit there and look at men like the Reverend C.L. Bryant like he fell off of the face of the planet, just to go and torture the hell out of them and make them feel like we're bad because we live off of granddaddy government. I have an attitude. No question about that. And yes, the Reverend C.L. Bryant came here, and I have felt guilty about that for quite some time. He came here to go and speak on behalf of a gentleman named Joshua Wander, who decided that it was a good idea to go and run as a Republican in the city of Pittsburgh, never mind the fact that we've never put a mayor in with an R after his name since the 1920s. Maybe earlier. No, I don't like the history, so I don't pay attention to how far back it goes. I just know that as long as I've been breathing, we have never had an R. And it shows. And it showed in the total lack of respect that those people showed to a man of the cloth. So when I hear people complaining about stupid things like race in the urban centers, racism, Ferguson, I'm not a very nice person. I might be a white woman, but I'm not clueless. I watched the neighborhoods go to hell firsthand. I was raised on the story about how my grandfather had to put a for sale by owner sign in front of his house. Why? Because my mother went home to him beaten bloody, black eyes. Lucky to be alive. The only reason why she was because a businessman went and dragged her out of the street before a streetcar ran her over. How'd she end up there? Because a black girl would follow her home every day after school and call her dirty white trash. Did it for days, for weeks on end. And what did my mother do? She put up with it. Books get thrown in the gutter. She'd get in trouble from the nuns for that. You know, she went to the Catholic school. So then what happens? She finally cracks one day. She got tired of being called dirty white trash. She got tired of having the nuns yell at her for the sorry state of her school books. She got tired of worrying about whether or not her dad was going to have to pay for those books. She got tired of worrying about whether or not her mom and dad were going to have to scrape together money to pay for a school uniform because of this girl throwing her around and messing it up. Because, back then that wasn't any small amount of money. And they'd have to buy that new uniform. It didn't come with the tuition. So she decided enough is enough. And the girl goes and calls her dirty white trash, and she turns around and calls her the N-word. And the girl proceeds to go and beat the tar out of her. Throws her in the gutter. She almost gets run over by the streetcar. And what does her dad decide? My grandfather? For sale by owner. And he was the right man to do that. And after they left that neighborhood's known as Homewood. And anybody who knows anything about Pittsburgh, or anybody who has been silly enough to go and watch Rachel Maddow, because she did go there at some point within the last few years, she took a tour and saw all of the empty lots, the vacant houses, the crack houses, where my mother used to live. I'm not sure. I haven't been there in a while because, I'm a white woman, and it's not a very smart idea for me to go anywhere near that neighborhood. But the last I heard, her house was a crack house. But that's, the move forward. The hope and change. No, I'm not blaming it on Obama. It started happening a long time ago, back when that for sale by owner sign went up. But it's been in a complete decline from that point on. But who takes responsibility? Those community organizers that sit there and say to Rachel Maddow, we need more money. We'll rebuild our community. We've given you money before. The city has bent over backwards many times before. And what has happened to that money? Because there's still the crack houses and the empty lots and the horrible schools and the general attitude that the police are the enemy and the schools are not a place to learn. Because, it's the neighborhood. It's the gangs. It's the drugs. Education does not lift you up. Education makes you a slave to the white man. Yes, I heard them say it. There's your hope and change, folks. That's Black community organizers. You could put them with the men from the Nation of Islam that used to sit there and tell me I'm a white girl, so therefore I have no right to know what they have to say. And they could stand idly by and watch other people go and try to attack me on the street. That is the Black culture in Pittsburgh. Or is it Chicago? Or is it Detroit? Or is it New York City or LA? Anybody want to tell me? Or is that Ferguson? Where Michael Brown becomes canonized as the patron saint of innocent Black boys shot by white cops until the evidence comes in. But even then, Al Sharpton's going to go and sing some more for them and make sure that they're all hyped up to show up on Election Day. And do you think that it's going to make a difference? Or is it just more rabble-rousing to go and continue the status quo because, God forbid, that they figure out some way to not have to rely on the government? Because the white man is the policeman, no matter what. So he must be the enemy. Law and order must be the enemy. Yeah. Welcome to America, folks. What was it Sarah Palin said? How's that hopey changey thing?